right. I think we might be doing okay. Let me just do some quick sound settings. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Daniel with VantagePoint AI. Just do a quick audio visual check here. We're going to get started with our live stream for today, the seasonal springboard into options success. Do a quick mic check here. If you can hear me okay and things are working okay and you're in the session already, we're about to get started here in just a couple of minutes. Just let me know over to the questions box if everything is working for you. If it is, then we are in the right place at the right time. Oh, excuse me. Good timing for that, I guess. Hey, Claudio, how are you? How are you? Nice to see you're in here. I've got my eye on the questions box over here. So if everything is working for you, I should be able to see it just fine. Let's see here. Make sure looks like we got a good microphone. Options are important. I couldn't agree with you more. I got 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, so we should be up and running. We've got people joining the room. We'll give everybody a chance to get logged in the room. Hopefully they'll be able to get into the live and start interacting. Looks like we didn't have any real technological issues this time. You never know, some days it's easy to hop into the session, into the meeting and get things going. Other days, a little more difficult. So thank you for being here. Thank you if you're part of the VantagePoint family. I appreciate you being part of the VantagePoint family. Hopefully you and your families all are having happy holidays. If you're not part of the VantagePoint family and you're not a user, thank you for being here and getting involved and soaking up as much content as you can. Hey, Joe, good morning. Good morning. Hello. Junder, good morning. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. We got some people hopping into the session now. Hey, James, good. All good. Working as designed. I like it. I like it. So from a system standpoint, I think we're all systems go. I am in some new digs, as you can tell. Working on getting my new office space set up. So thank you for being patient with me. The wall and I are almost the same color, so it's definitely interesting. All right, so let's dive in. We're going to be talking today, for those of you that have just joined, we're going to be talking about the seasonal springboard into options success. As I said earlier, my name is Daniel, and I'm with VantagePoint AI. And the reason for today's session is to, as we wind the year down, prepare ourselves for some great moves right now. I don't mean prepare ourselves for next year or start looking at next year. I'm talking about how to prepare yourself today, how to prepare yourself for some options opportunities that can present some big gains, because this is the seasonal time of year that they could come into play. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. But before we do that, I do want to jump into the software that I like to use, VantagePoint. You may have your own software to do your technical analysis. That's perfectly okay. I do all my technical analysis in VantagePoint, which is artificial intelligence-based software. It should be easy enough for you to follow along. If there's anybody in this session, by the way, I'd love to know, is there anybody here today that hasn't attended one of these VantagePoint lives before? If this is your first VantagePoint live with our organization on this channel, say first time, first one, something, let me know that that's the case. I always love to see who's in the room that may not have been in one of these sessions before. And if you are in the room and you just haven't commented yet to tell me this is your first time, just know that I'll go at a reasonable pace. I try not to go too quickly or talk over anybody's head, and try not to go too elementary, but we have traders of all experience here in today's session. And if you're listening and you can hear my voice and you haven't already subscribed to the VantagePoint AI channel, hit the subscribe button. We do live sessions like this every couple of weeks. So you'll get notified if you subscribe when a live is coming up, and we can dig into the details, ask questions. I like to make it as interactive as possible. So I'll watch the questions box. Hey, Jonder, I'm glad you're here and this is your first time. Chameleon, congratulations, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to absorb whatever content we have today. Always important, and just a reminder for everybody that we are on this channel talking about trading. From an educational standpoint, we are not a advisor. right? We're not going to trade your money for you or tell you what to do with your money. We are educating you on interpreting technical indicators in the financial markets, and I rely on artificial intelligence-driven indicators. Trading is hard, though. You got to understand that. It involves risk. I'm going to do everything I can to help you stack the odds in your favor, but you still got to have good money management, right? Capital preservation is key. That is important. I may share some user experiences with you today. Also understand that I'm sharing those with you so that you know what other people have said about these technologies. I'm not in any way intending you to perform just like them. Their results may be atypical, and I haven't verified the results. But I do like to share with you what other people have said anecdotally. Hey, RJ, or I should say Bob, I guess. Bob, new. Glad you're. Hey, Marvin, nice to see you. I haven't seen your name in a while. I'm sure you are as well. Looking forward to seeing you, Marvin, here in a couple of weeks in our VantagePoint University in-person Trader Summit. So hopefully we'll get to enjoy a nice steak or something together. So, all right, let's dive in. Let me just change my screen here, bring up VantagePoint. And as I said, all I'm doing here now is we're going to dig through some indicators. We're going to dig through some information that I like to use on a day-to-day basis and give you guys a flow and interpretation of what we're seeing. What I have up on the screen is the Qs. This is an ETF that follows the NASDAQ, right? It is an ETF. It follows the NASDAQ. It is not the index specifically, but it's a derivative of it. A lot of options traders love trading the Qs. The reason I want to start here is so that we can get a good lay of the land, so that we can understand something that I like to call a market overview. I like to see what the overall market is expected to do. And then as I dig into some of the seasonal opportunities from an options standpoint, I've got that foundation. So I figured we'll do it together. We'll start as a group here right now and do a little market overview, understand the market conditions together. So I've got the Qs up on the screen. Let me grab, I guess I should have done this already, but let me just grab a quick pen if I can. Bear with me just a second. I'm going to see if I can get my my pen working and drawing on the screen. Gave me some fits last time, but here, we'll just move it out of the way. There we go. Got it. Okay, perfect. So what we're looking at, as I said, is the Qs, and you can see I've got 3 months of data pulled up on the Qs. This is information that I like to use after 6:30 p.m. Eastern time in the evening. The reason I do that, it's end of day data, just so everybody knows. We have some first timers here, and I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. I use end of day data to do my technical analysis, and in the software that I utilize, this is predictive information. This is predictive information that I like to understand. I like to understand what's expected to happen over the next 1 to 3 days. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Hey, Fasu, I see it's your first time. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Marvin says, I've been able to pay for my software with the profits gained from better decisions. I like that, Marvin. Thank you for saying that. I was just reading his comment there. Marvin is a VantagePoint family member and has been for a long time. So let's dig in, all right? What I'm looking at on the screen is a blue line. This is a predicted moving average. And why it's predictive is because we use AI to generate predictive indicators. It's a patented artificial intelligence program. And how I read this is if the blue line is above the gray line and the shaded area between the gray line and the blue line is green, that's telling me bullish trend expectation over the next couple of days. Now, some of you are probably very familiar with using moving averages like simple moving averages or exponential moving averages. Just understand that the blue line that I'm talking about is very different. It actually has predictive information in the formula because the artificial intelligence is predicting typical price over the next couple of days. Can't find that anywhere else in the world. Well, we can dig into that. Matter of fact, if I say anything that you're unfamiliar with and you want to dig into it, ask me in the chat box, or you can always go to VantagePointForecast.com and let us know that you want to talk more and we can reach out to you. I'm not going to go into all the nitty-gritty of the indicators that I use here today because I want to get into the market analysis, all right? But you can always dig in at VantagePointForecast.com and we can spend some good one-on-one time together, all right? So what I see here is, at 6:30 last night, the blue line is above the gray line, indicating that the trend is expected to move higher moving into the market today. So before the market ever opened today, I had the information from the AI saying trend is expected to be higher. I also have this gray bar that updated. This gives me the predicted high and predicted low every single evening for the next trade day for whatever asset I'm looking at. And in this case, we're looking at the Qs. So the software is saying here that I've got a predicted high of 411.37 and a predicted low of 408.16. And the reason that's important is because if I am a trader that buys options on the Qs and I'm not already in position, I can use that information to understand what is expected to happen. Right now, the Qs, the high on the Qs is, let's see if I can pull it up here. You gotta give me a second. I wasn't quite ready. 407.97 is a low and 410.47 as a high. So you can see it's trading right within that gray bar, exactly what I would have expected from the Qs. And the Qs looks like they're up 39 cents on the day. So we've got everything that was expected at 6:30 last night playing out so far. Now, something else I have here is I've got this neural index. This is a green bar, or it's a green and red bar right here in the middle of the screen. When it is green, it's giving me short-term strength. So I've got bullishness expected from a strength standpoint. And then I have some momentum indicators down here. These three lines give me predicted momentum over the next 1, 2, and 3 days. The reason I'm teaching you this is just so that you can understand what I'm looking at to understand and assess what is expected to happen looking forward into today. I had this at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time last night. What the momentum indicators here are telling me, I've got some bullish momentum. So this was the beginning of this trend prediction right here. That's when the AI said this thing's expected to move up again and move up strong. So from the beginning of that trend prediction, I've got momentum weakening on my one-day momentum, still bullish, but weakening. My medium-term momentum, which is 2 days, and my long-term momentum are both bullish. So I've got more bullish momentum still building longer term. My shorter term is weakening a little bit, which means I would not expect the Qs to blow through the predicted high on the day. There's momentum there longer term, but the one-day predicted momentum, the momentum for today, has some bullishness, but it's waning. All right. So I've done an assessment of the Qs to say I would expect Qs to rise today moderately, no big rally, but bullishness to say the least. So when the market started today, I'd be looking for some bullish opportunities if I'm thinking about hopping into a new position today, or if I'm in position, I know the Qs are expected to move bullishly today. That's one of the three major indices I like to take a look at. All right. I can hop over. And by the way, I can do a lot of things on these indices using the software I use. I can put on support and resistance. I can look at the 52-week highs and lows. I can do so many things to further my analysis. Do I do that? Yes, all the time. Every day. I live in this software. And what I do is I can layer on indicators. For instance, here's support and resistance. I can see, oh, looks like we're at a 52-week high. Here's my 52-week high indicator. I'm not going to walk through all these indicators right now today, but what I'm doing is looking at this to say, hey, we're at a 52-week high as of yesterday. That's the only potential resistance up there. It's a 52-week high. We broke through the most recent resistance level back here on 12.11. We got a resistance breakout that just over the last 3 days has produced very, very well. Well, we're at a 52-week high. There's no real resistance besides that holding us down. There is bullish momentum. So again, I have furthered my assessment of the Qs to say bullishness is expected. I could even go a step further and layer on, if I wanted to, a predicted RSI and understand that the predicted RSI has some bullishness as well. Look at the bottom of the screen down here. I've got an RSI that's been creating higher lows since the beginning of this trend. Yes, these are predictive indicators. Yes, these are indicators that are proprietary to VantagePoint. But the analysis of these indicators is designed to do one thing, and that's help me understand what the Qs is expected to do moving forward. Dwayne, I see your question. Dwayne is asking, can we use VantagePoint to trade the Forex market? Yes, absolutely you can. We have over 35 Forex pairs in the software. It's very, very powerful in Forex. Thank you for asking. All right. Hey, Jem, first time. Okay. Let me see if we got anything else. All right, I'm just checking the chat box to make sure I didn't miss anything. This is a live session, so you have to forgive me once in a while. I'll pause and just take a quick look. All right, so let's keep our analysis going. We've got bullishness on the Qs several different ways. No change there. If I go to the diamonds, by the way, the diamonds, this is the Dow as an ETF. 11.1 is when VantagePoint said the Dow was expected to move higher. That was a month and a half, almost 2 months ago, folks. All of the conversations around crash and recession and all those things were happening at different points, trying to spook people from a market standpoint. VantagePoint wasn't convinced on any of that. The blue line stayed above the gray line and the shaded area stayed green the entire time. And then after the Fed said what they said, there was a huge move to the upside, but the artificial intelligence was saying bullishness anyway, leading up to that point. So there is no question. We had the information that we needed to dig in on the Dow expected to be bullish, right? How can I do a one-on-one appointment with someone? Hey, Michael, I see your question there. Just go to VantagePointForecast.com. As a matter of fact, there's a link right there in the chat you can click on and set up that time for one-on-one. I don't know if you're a VantagePoint family member already, Michael, or if you're interested in a one-on-one to learn more about it. But either way, we can certainly help you there. All right. I'm going to heart that one too. Like it. Thank you. All right. Diamonds, bullishness, blue line's above. The blue line is pulling away from the gray line. The shaded area is green. I've got a predicted high, a predicted low, all saying more bullishness on the Dow. Well, when I look at this, I see that the momentum has waned more on the Dow than on the Qs. Does that mean this is going to change direction? Nope, not to me. What that means to me is I've got to keep my eye on this because it is starting to, get long in the tooth. Momentum is starting to shift on this. We have still some bullish momentum from our momentum indicators here at the bottom. And what I mean is they're still creating higher lows of this last little trend for the most part. This one, ever since the Fed announcement, this is the short-term momentum, it's been dropping, creating lower highs, right? Again, Fed announcement last week, big pop, and then since then, the short-term momentum's been losing some steam. Well, look what price has been doing since then, going pretty much sideways after that pop. So I still have some bullish expectations, but this one, still bullish, not as strong as the Qs based on the forecast. So we still have bullishness though. Nothing changing my mind about that. I can layer in my other indicators. I've done that already, and I can tell you, save you the time and the effort on this call, unless you want me to. They're giving me bullish expectations as well. So the AI sentiment on the PowerShare Qs, bullish. The AI sentiment on the diamonds, the Dow, bullish, just not as strong as the Qs. Let's go do the SPY. And the reason I'm doing this, just in case you've just joined, in case you're wondering, the reason I'm doing this is because if I want a seasonal springboard, if I want to find a seasonal stock, a seasonal move that has an opportunity to create some bullishness or bearishness, maybe I want to buy some puts, right? Regardless, I need to know what the market is expected to do. I need to know which way the current is going with a high degree of accuracy. So I start here. And you can do this in your software. You can do this in VantagePoint. I don't care where you do this. From an educational standpoint, what I have learned the most and helped traders understand the most is the first thing you got to do is get that 10,000 foot view. You got to see what the market is expected to do. You could then go look and see what the sectors or the industry are expected to do. And then if you're going to buy into a position, from an educational standpoint, it's always my choice that I'm buying in that goes along with the flow. Can I take some counter trend trades? Sure, of course. Do I have a trading plan that allows me to manage my risk on counter trend trades? Yes, I wouldn't be taking them if I didn't. But if we're talking about the majority of the trades, increasing your chances, stacking the odds in your favor, then you want to go with the flow. And what we're doing is figuring out the flow from a prediction standpoint, from a forecast standpoint using predictive indicators. So the Qs and the diamonds agree, and then we go to the SPY. SPY had the same forecast, 11.1, by the way, as the diamonds on the bullishness. Just a monster move forecasted with the artificial intelligence. I mean, just check this out. The first, to the first pullback. If I go to the low of that first pullback, huge jump, 3%, right? And then we just stretch it all the way to the close of yesterday. From the day that the market was expected to move up to yesterday's close, we're over almost 13% on the SPY. That's nearly 0.5% a day. Options traders, if you missed that, I'm sorry. But you can see, how, any trader really, if you can see how it was very easy to identify on 11.1, and the artificial intelligence did not change its vision. The sentiment, the AI sentiment was generating bullishness the entire time, even at 6:30 p.m. last night. Now let me point something else out to you. Get to the scribbles. Look on the right-hand side of these momentum indicators, because we got bullish here, we got bullish here. But check out just the end of these momentum indicators. I like to look at the last 5 days in case anybody is wondering. When I'm looking at an oscillator, a trading day is Monday through Friday when you're thinking about stocks. So I'm going to look at the last 5 days and see what I got. I got bullish. I got this bearishness and then boop, trying to turn up, right? That means this momentum that caused this market to flatten a little bit is shifting on a short-term standpoint back to be bullish again. That means good things when I think about the ES, when I think about what is happening from a stock standpoint. If I'm looking for a seasonal move right now, then I can be confident that there is still bullish momentum in the SPY, the diamonds, the Qs. If I stacked rank these forecasts, I would say the Qs are expected to be strongest, the SPY would be second strongest, and then followed up by the Dow, right? Still all bullish, but the Dow being the weaker of the three. Now let me ask you a question. Jump in, by the way. Go to the chat box right now and tell me, if you had this at 6:30 last night like I did, and you just did some analysis like I did, would you feel confident around the market being bullish today? Not rallying, but being bullish today. And be honest with me, because if I did this analysis and you're like, I still don't see it, tell me that too, right? This is a live session. I'm not asking you to answer anything than what you feel or what you see, right? Let's see. RJ, let me see your question. How often do you conduct these reviews? Once a day, RJ. If you're talking about this market overview that I'm doing, once a day. If you're talking about these live sessions, every couple of weeks, okay? Let's see. GS strategies. Isn't this way different than November 1 technically, though? For example, the RSI alone is overbought on all time frames. So let's take a look. We're talking about, just looking at GS strategies. Your question is, isn't this way different than November 1? Is today different than November 1? Yes, absolutely. Is the November 1 forecast different? I guess what I don't understand you're saying, but I can tell you. Let's look at November 1. On November 1, we got this forecast of bullish, a fresh crossover. This is to address the question by GS strategies. Fresh bullish forecast. Fresh, nice green neural index that turned from red to green a few days before. All looks good. Leading into the first, I have very powerful new momentum coming off of new momentum lows. This is a very, very strong reversing forecast. Today, I don't have all of that, but I'm not looking for a trend reversal today. I'm looking to confirm whether or not this trend is expected to keep moving, a continuation trend. I don't have overbought momentum, right? Momentum, I mean, I don't know, is there such thing as overbought momentum? I'm going to put RSI on the screen, and we have to be very careful to understand that RSI isn't necessarily an overbought, oversold indicator. That's always a tough way to look at it for me. So a lot of people look at it that way. Don't get me wrong. You might be looking at it that way. But RSI isn't about overbought and oversold. RSI is about momentum. And if I have a positive momentum that is not at the high of the last 3 months, I have more room to go. I've got a momentum indicator that's creating higher lows recently, and even higher lows since this trend, and even more higher lows from the beginning of this trend. That means I still have bullish momentum. This is a predicted RSI, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. The RSI in VantagePoint has been enhanced and predicted with the artificial intelligence. The predicted RSI from the beginning of this trend to today still has more bullish momentum left in it, supporting slight bullish move to the upside, right? All right, good. GS Strategy says there's no way I'm bullish at this point from a trading perspective. Okay, that's perfectly okay. Everybody has their perspective, but I can tell you VantagePoint software is telling us that there's short-term expected bullishness today in the SPY. Let me go check the SPY. I guess that would be the best thing to do. Did we get bullishness so far? Remember, this updated at 6:30 last night. I'm just going to pull up Yahoo Finance and make it easy for everybody. Drag it on the screen. I'm not going to go to a platform as a delayed quote, but there you go. 46 cents. Is there bullishness there? Yes, there is. Is there a ton of bullishness there? No, there isn't. Is it right within the predicted high and predicted low at 475? Well, let's see. 475. Yes, it's exactly where our assessment expected it to be. And that's the great thing about trading. For me to make money in the market, somebody else has to lose. The tools that I'm using are giving me a major advantage because they're predictive and they're generated with AI. Not everybody has to analyze them or trade the way that I do, but I can tell you, if I got an edge, the likelihood that I win more often is there, and the likelihood that my winners are bigger is there. And that's why we're doing this. Good. Thank you for getting involved. FinFan will be available after normal work hours. Yep, at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Are you talking about this recording? Because this recording will be on our YouTube channel. You just have to subscribe and make sure you can see it in the live. If you're talking about this forecast information, at 6:30 tonight, my VantagePoint software will update. My VantagePoint software will update and help me understand. Hey, good. So you already have the VantagePoint software. I love it. I love it. Good, good. I'm talking to GS Strategies again, and here's the other thing. Let me back up for a second. Somebody else's risk tolerances or your trade rules, like saying, I may not be bullish this time, that's okay too, right? I'm not trading your money. You're not trading mine. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. You're not telling me what to do with mine. If the market is too overbought for you right now for your trade plan, then by all means, follow your trade plan, right? And that's the great thing about it. Good. Let's keep going. So we've got bullishness. Back to the point of today's session. Seasonal Springboard. I'm about to walk through some tickers that have options, tradable options, that have a today is the 99th percentile, 100 percentile best day of the year historically based on seasonal information for bullishness, which means, let me back up on what I'm saying. I'm about to walk through some ticker symbols since we know we've got bullishness in the overall market. I'm going to walk through some ticker symbols that have been proven with, in some cases, 20 years of seasonal data that today is the best day for a new bullish trend to start all year. All right? Some of them are in the 100 percentile. That makes today the best day. Some of them are in the 99 percentile. That makes them, call that the second best day. The reason I'm doing this is because we've got bullishness in the market. And from an options trading standpoint, you can grab some quick gains very quickly in the market. Whether you hold a position for a day or a week or whatever the case is, there's some great, even one day, great opportunities, and you can still close those positions out with enough time for that to settle for any potential tax loss harvesting, any capital gains information before the end of the year. So let's do it. Let's dive in. The first one I'm going to bring up right now is PAA. PAA, Plains All-American Pipeline. We can take a look at crude, Krish, here at the end. Somebody else, you also asked about Starbucks. We should have some time here at the end, right? So here's PAA, and at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time last night, I'm just going to zoom into the right-hand side over here. Look, this is how you would interpret this. The blue line crossed above right there, right? Now, I would see it right here at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time last night. So I've got my blue line, my medium-term crossover indicating bullish trend expectation. This is a fresh crossover on a stock that seasonally and historically springboards for a certain point, a certain amount of time starting today, right? That's powerful. The AI is saying bullishness here. The AI is saying bullish, predicted high, predicted low, bullish. So I've got 3 predictive indicators so far on PAA indicating bullishness, right? And then when I look down here, I can see I've got bullish predicted neural index. This is giving me bullishness as well, right? That's powerful. I've got from the beginning, from this fresh crossover, I've got 2 of my 3 momentum indicators creating higher lows going into that day. That's bullish and bullish. And then I have 1 sideways. That's consolidated. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 predictive indicators so far telling me bullish and 1 saying consolidated. So we would say 6 out of 7 bullish. What is that? Quick math. There's somebody out there who's quick math. AI sentiment, 80% bullish. I'm rounding. I could probably pull up a calculator on my phone really quickly and get you an actual number. Let's see. 85.71% bullish AI sentiment using the indicators that I just used. And the reason I'm doing that, right? The reason I'm doing that is just so that I know, based on my trade plan, how bullish does the AI expect this to be? And then I can look at my trade plan and say, look, I'm only excited about anything that gives me at least a 70% bullishness when comparing multiple non-redundant indicators. In this case, I got an 85.71% bullish reading. Okay. I can feel pretty confident about PAA. Now, PAA, if you look over here on the side, is in the basic materials sector. Okay, it's in the basic materials sector. If anybody wants to know what PAA is or wants to dig into it, what I do in my software is I can go right into the properties right here, and I can go to the general, I clicked the wrong button, right into the properties and go to the market details. And in the market details, I can see there's a research link and I can see what they are, what index they're traded on, how much data we have on them. The artificial intelligence has been reading the data on this specific stock since 1991. January 4th, 1991, so we're coming up on 24 years of data going into the AI on this stock alone, right? If I want to do some research on it, I can click on this research link and, I don't know what they do, but here you go. All right. Crude oil and natural gas liquids. That's it. Bang. So we got a pipeline. Oh, by the way, in the software, I can even see which markets have the biggest influence. For those of you that aren't VantagePoint users, let me show you this really quickly. I think you might like this. This is the target market. This is what the AI is looking at to figure out what's influencing it. And if you look at this list of companies, you've got stocks like Kinder Morgan, which I wouldn't expect. You've got Energy Transfer, makes total sense. Williams Companies, Fair Isaac. You can see light sweet crude oil. Well, we know that they're pipeline for light sweet crude oil, natural gas, so I should see natural gas. There it is. So the AI is analyzing all of the open, high, low, close, volume, open interest data for all of these assets because it knows that these over 31 assets drive the price of PAA. And don't forget, today is the single best day for a new bullish trend on PAA based off of the seasonal springboard that I was just talking about. So we've got some good stuff happening with PAA. So from an options trading standpoint, let's walk through how you could look at this for a potential execution, or you would have looked at it last night for today. Let me just check the chat really quickly and see if I missed anything. I do Keltner channel session. It was great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Is PALP. How to identify trend change from current situation in the Qs. All right, Krish, no problem. Trend change would be, if you're looking for a bearish trend, look, this would be a trend change. I just saw it. Let me just back up for Krish really quickly. If there was a bullish trend on and then a trend change was expected, you'd see the blue line cross below. The shaded area between the two would go from green to red, right? The predictive differences in the neural index would have all changed direction, saying trend expected down like it did back here in October. If we see that happen on the Qs and all the indicators turn from green or up or bullish to bearish, that is a forecast over the next 1 to 3 days. You see it on the chart at 6:30 at night. It's telling you that's expected to happen in the future. That's how you know a trend change has been forecasted with the AI. The reason I answered that one is because it's an easy answer. Hopefully that helps. Thank you, Krish. All right, so let's do a little bit of analysis. I'm going to do something. I'm going to add strike price. This is a special indicator I have in the software. Not everybody has it, but some people do, depending on what you use in your VantagePoint software. You can see I've got a list of indicators over here. But nonetheless, what I've done is I've put the strike prices as of 6:30 last night on the screen so that I can compare them to the predicted high and predicted low. Now, this strike price is out of the money. Call it 15.50. From an out of the money standpoint, I'm not so interested in that, primarily because I can see the average true range on this is more than 1 ATR away from the predicted high even. That's sure, I'll save on my premium, but it's gonna need a lot of movement to get to that price, and I'd rather get here near the money, just in the money. So this strike price right here, by adding this indicator on the screen, I can see I've got a 15 strike. I can go out to, let's say, a January 19th expiration and get at least a 54 delta. Good enough for me, right? Anything over 50 is good. Anything over 60 is great. So I'm pretty happy if I'm looking at this saying, all right, I know that my strike price going into today is $15 per share. And I used that strike price indicator on top of my predictive indicators to say, this strike price right here is close enough to that predicted bar or under that predicted bar, which means I just need this thing to move up a little bit today and I am in the money. All right. A 15 strike with an expiration out. What day did I say? January 16th. Gives me a 54. January 19th, give me a 54 delta. That is about 30 days. That's probably the shortest I'm going to set my expiration personally. I may even go out to the February expiration, depending totally on what the the bid ask is at that point. We can take a look at some of that, and I could, if I use my January expiration that we were just talking about, January 19th, with a 15 strike, I got a 35-cent bid and a 40-cent ask at this point. So you can see we're using that strategy. And let's say I'm going to throw $1,000 at this trade right now if I wanted to. Not that I'm going to, because this is educational, but I can tell you at 6:30 last night, as the market opened today, this is all the assessment and analysis that I would have done to say, okay, this is a single best day for PAA historically from a seasonal standpoint. This thing's expected to springboard. I've layered on my information. I know I've got a January 19th expiration with a strike price of 15 with a 40-cent, let's call it a 40-cent ask, right? So when you stop and you think about that, maybe I do 5 contracts of that. And then all I need this to do is apply my trade plan and say, all right, if this thing goes to 0 and my risk tolerance says my one risk unit is $1,000 and I put $1,000 toward this, or $1,200, whatever your risk unit is, right? That's certainly up to you. Maybe you just buy one call contract, right? One call contract at that point could be all you need. Your trade plan is your trade plan. But let's say I did 10 contracts of this, 10 call contracts with a January 19th expiration. They cost me an ask of 40 cents. I need this thing to go up. I got a $15 strike at that point. Well, all I need this thing to do is go up past $15 to get in the money very quickly. The open on this today, I'm going to pull it over and see if my strategy would have worked out doing what we just walked through. I'm just doing Yahoo Finance again, right? So we got an open today at 15.10. So the likelihood that I got the fill goes down a little bit because it opened at 15.10. The range on the day is 15.06, so it came down. It probably would have gotten filled pretty quickly, or I could have adjusted that at that point to make sure I got that fill, and now it's at 15.18. You can set it and forget it. Maybe you don't get filled, or you can watch the market open and then enter your trade at that point and ensure you get filled regardless of how you do it. If you didn't catch this fill because you set it and forget it and went to work, fine. Live to trade another day. If you watched it and made some adjustments so you got filled, great. You're in the money. It's already up substantially in this forecast from the Qs, the diamonds, the SPY, and PAA with the seasonal information combined. I don't know. You tell me. Is that a valuable process? I say yes. I say this analysis that I just taught for 30 minutes, you can roll through in a matter of 2 minutes and come up with that conclusion. Why? It's a proven strategy. It's a technique that is replicatable. And Personally, I'll tell you it's because I'm using a software program that's predictive and proven to be predictive. You may say otherwise. That's okay. But right now, everything that we just did produced a very valuable move on PAA. Good, good, good. Let me see if there's any other chats, questions. Guys, get involved. Hop over to the chat. Let me know if this is resonating, if this speaks to you, if this is helpful. That's why we do this. I'm going to put up another ticker that I know has a very powerful buy date or bullish date as of today. It is ILMN. ILMN. It's a healthcare stock, all right? Yeah, Brad, I'm glad you agree, my friend. I say yes, too. Hey, Isma, glad to see you back in. All right, here is ILMN. By the way, this had a fantastic trend. If you missed it, it doesn't mean that the trend is over and there's no opportunity for you. You simply have to analyze the right-hand side of the chart and see what you got. So let's do that. We know we got bullishness from the three indices right here at the top. ILMN has a 99% or better bullishness expectation starting today. That means today is the best day of the entire year, or the second best day of the entire year for new bullishness in this stock itself. So here we go. We got bullishness on the predicted trend, predicted high, predicted low, bullish, neural index bullish. All of these indicators are bullish. So I've got some pretty strong bullishness on this one for sure. So I'm going to take a step through. We're already talking about, let's go add strike price to this. And when I add strike price to it, I've got all the strike prices within 5% of the close yesterday. Almost all of them are touching the gray bar. The strike prices that I'm not interested in are the ones that are outside the gray bar. That gives me a ton of options, a ton of strike prices to choose from. Let's put it that way. So now I can use my delta calculations to figure out which strike prices give me a good delta and would save me some money on my premium. The close, by the way, yesterday was 139.53. So right away, I'm already interested in 140. 140 gives me a 53 at January 19th. If I go a little bit deeper in the money, I can get a little bit better. 136 is a little bit in the money, but pretty close to at the money. That might be one that's interesting to me, more interesting because 136 gives me a 61 delta with a January 19th expiration, and it's touching the gray bar. Great. So far, so good. Now I've got to go check from a risk standpoint whether or not this meets my strategy. So we're talking January 19th. I can go check what was the, I forgot the price already, 136. 136 strike, 135 strike. Got a 135 strike with a 1350 ask. So what we're talking about is one contract costing $1,300. Does that meet your trade strategy? If it does, great. You know exactly what you need to do. You want to lower that premium a little bit. You can sacrifice a little bit of delta. Maybe you go, if I said 50 was delta was good before, I can do a 142, which is just out of the money, a 141. So that gives me a little bit of room there. 140 is an ask of 1060. There you go. 140. Got it. I know what I like. I'm looking at it. I see it. That is right there near the close. That's at the money. January 19th expiration. What we would need to see is the move on this today. Where did it open? What did it do? What have I gotten filled using this strategy? The open was 139. It's currently at 142. It's up $2.71. Almost certainly a set it and forget it fill. You know, obviously depending on the bid ask at that time. But you can see how this strategy with this seasonal springboard concept laid on top of these predictive indicators supported by the indices produced another. This one's like a blockbuster. This thing's up big in just one day. Heck, you might even, you know, somebody taking profits on that might have closed out that position and moved on and said, you know what, I grabbed a 50% gain right there in one day, a 30% gain depending on where your fill was, and on to bigger and better moves. Claudio, trading that one already. Claudio, does that mean that you grabbed this one from the beginning? I don't know. Did you? Where did you get an entry? You said you're trading ILMN already. That means today's a great day for you. But give me a date. Give me a date. Give me a date. I'll wait for you to pop that in as we go look at another one that I know of called Tell. Now, this is a lower price one. Let me pull it up for you. Got a great move on Tell. The question is, what's expected to happen on Tell right now? Let's zoom in and analyze our indicators. We got a little whipsaw right here, which happens. Nothing is perfect. That's okay. I don't know why my pen got so big, but I guess that's all right. It's like a marker now. Right-hand side of the chart. Blue line above, neural index green. Ooh, I've got a little bit of momentum shift here. I've got consolidating momentum here and bullish here. This is not the strongest. I've got a predicted lows expect to be lower. So if I'm riding this trend, there is some bullishness. Now I know that this is one of the great stocks of this time right now. It is a lower price stock. You may not need to buy options on this. You could probably get, at 77 cents, you could just buy the underlying, but you could probably get the bid ask around 25 cents. That's up to you and your trade strategy, right? But you can see that this one is not as strong as ILMN, but still has some bullishness expected. This is where your trade plan comes into play, in my opinion, is you got to look at this and say, all right, what is my AI sentiment? What is my score on this? I've got 2 indicators that are saying bearish, 1 consolidated, and 3 that are bullish. Excuse me. May not have enough, even though I know seasonally that this is strong. Even I can certainly check some of that stuff. So let's look. Let's put on our strike prices. If I put on strike prices, I've got a strike price that's way out of the money and one that's deep in the money. So right now, this is not necessarily from an options trading standpoint anything that I would really be interested in because it's under $1 a share. From an underlying standpoint, this is something that presents an opportunity because it's under $1 a share to make some gains, right? If $1,000 worth of this gets you well over 1,000 shares, and if this thing moves up 50 cents over the next few days, you make some really good money. Right now, it's up just over a penny, right? So there's a penny stock, has a seasonal opportunity on it. The artificial intelligence is forecasting it, and it's up today. Another nice winner here. BlackBerry. Seasonal mover, right? It's already had a trend going on it right now. Ooh, look at this. We got earnings on BlackBerry tonight, December 20th, after the market close. All right, if earnings is not part of your strategy and finding a new position right around earnings time is not part of my strategy unless I'm doing an earnings play and doing some sort of straddle or strangle. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is that traditionally, historically, BlackBerry has bullishness. This is one of the best days of the year for new bullishness to happen. Maybe it's tied to their annual earnings. Maybe it's tied, not their annual, excuse me, the quarterly earnings of last quarter. Maybe it's tied to that historically. Regardless, this isn't a strategy I'm digging into today. I see that there's earnings on there. I can move on with my life and go find something else like MRO. In case you don't know, in January, MRO has a high percentage that January, a lot of oil stocks, crude oil stocks, high percentage gainers in January, starting with the first couple of days of the month, right? We'll look at crude oil in a second, but that's historically, traditionally how the season works for oil, for energy, for crude oil. This is a 99 percentile bullish type of move for MRO based on historical information. There is bullishness in the crossover. There is bullishness. I'll zoom in for you so everybody can read it. Bullishness in the crossover from a few days ago. Bullishness in the neural index. 2 of the 3 momentum indicators are bullish, with 1 being consolidated to bearish, and the predicted high and predicted low all expected to be higher. So I've got a very high 85 percentile AI sentiment for bullishness on MRO right now, and seasonally a very powerful move. So we'll do it again here, and we will put on strike prices. There we go. We got one just out of the money, but still touching the gray bar at 25 bucks. I've got in the money here at 24.50. And from a January 19th expiration, I can see that the 24.50 has a much better delta, the 25. So I can do either one of those and be perfectly okay within my trade plan and within my guidelines on MRO, especially knowing that there's some seasonal performance, some seasonal expectations to it. Right, a 25 strike, the open today was 24.90. The likelihood of getting that filled is certainly there. Let me just check the ask on this. 25 bucks, 93. So we're talking about a buck, right? So we're talking about a buck here. That's where 10 contracts of this works very well within my trade plan and my strategy. The seasonality is there, the bullishness is there in the forecasts, and there is a strong move expected. And right now, where is MRO? 24.98. 24.98. So it's about to get in the money right now as we speak. If you're more interested in buying in the money at 24.50, again, it's probably going to cost you a little bit more in premium. 5 contracts there at 24.50 is an explosive move on the day today. I think everybody probably can see that. Let's see, 24.50, 25. 4.4% at 25. The 24 is, so both of them are already up today. Covered a lot of information today in a very short period of time. I've got 12:20 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want to check out a ticker or two and walk through the analysis on a ticker or two, we can certainly do that. Before I do that, let me stop and just throw out, are there any questions about what I walked through? I already had MRO January 19th. There you go, Claudio. Claudio is a VantagePoint user, takes in a lot of our training and education. I'm always excited to see when these strategies are working out. Looks like, Claudio, you've got 2 winning positions on a couple of the stocks that I've already covered today, and you were already in those positions. I love it. I love it. Questions, comments, queries. While I'm pulling these up, pop them into the chat. I'll take a look. Here's Starbucks from a request and Cat. There we go. CMSCA, that ticker doesn't sound familiar. CMSCA, nope. CMSCA Mojo is not in the VantagePoint software. And here's why. This is not just a charting platform, in case anybody is wondering. That's not what this is. VantagePoint forecasts trends with accuracy up to 87.4%. It's not going to do that on 100% of the stocks and the markets out there. Some of those are unpredictable. Some of those, don't have any hidden patterns or relationships that are discerned by the AI. The AI is doing analysis that is humanly impossible, but it doesn't mean it can do it on everything all the time. Matter of fact, I would prefer that it looks at the best of the best and provides predictions on that. So that one's not in there. Comcast is. Let's go Comcast. Oh, I do have Comcast. Maybe I put a letter wrong. CMSCA. My fault. My fault. Anyway, that analysis, that explanation as to why something's not in here, still the same. Here's Starbucks. Starbucks. So we got on the right-hand side of the chart, if we zoom in, by the way, some really great moves in Starbucks, but I'm just going to analyze what's going on right now. Here is the move. Bullishness. Slight bullishness. Bullish on the predicted high and predicted low. Bullish on the neural index. 1, 2 momentum indicators are bullish, and 1 is consolidated. So still a very high bullish reading on Starbucks. We can see that by looking at the chart. Do we want to see what the seasonal expected gain on Starbucks could be? We certainly can. We do have a tool in the VantagePoint software that is extra. That is not everybody has it, but obviously it's something that I use on a consistent basis where I can add Starbucks to an IntelliScan. There's Starbucks in the IntelliScan. And I can go add the seasonal expectation. It'll tell me the 30-day seasonal forecast of this. Over the next 30 days, Starbucks is expected to gain 0.32%. That's over looking at 24 years of history, and we've got a high confidence in the AI in this one. I'm going to actually change this and say, just tell me what the next 10 days seasonal forecast is expected to be based on what the AI is doing. Ooh, almost a full percent over the next 10 days. So we've got very, very good seasonality right here with Starbucks right now. We've got bullishness expected. We got a predicted high and predicted low. Is it going to go straight up? No, and here's why. Take a look at this, folks. There's support and there's resistance. What do you see as a problem? I have a resistance level that was retested and failed and set a lower resistance level. It now needs to retest it. Yesterday's market has a wick that went up and then closed lower. which means this resistance level is pushing some bearish pressure down on Starbucks. As a matter of fact, I bet my triple crossover, which is an indicator I use to see dynamic support and resistance, prices haven't even worked above that, which tells me, although there is bullishness seasonally, the current price pressure is a bearish pressure, and I need to be aware of that. This is not a close your eyes and punch in 4 digits like your ATM and expect money to come out. This is about education and information, and this resistance level is stopping my enthusiasm around the bullishness in Starbucks. And my trade plan says I got to get a break. I got to get a close price above this resistance. And then I got to get a confirming 1 or 2 close prices to support a resistance breakout through this seasonal information. Until I get that, it's a wait, watch, and see type of analysis for me. Corinne, was that helpful? I think it was Corinne. Let me make sure. Oh, Krish, was that helpful? Was that good information for you? You were the one asking for it. We do have some channeling. Terry, I love it. Got some channeling expected. I love when I see that terminology because that means the sessions that we've been doing, you're taken to heart. This is a channel, right? Bang, bang, retest, bang, fail, couldn't even get down to support, couldn't even get up to resistance. That channel's getting tighter and tighter. All right, Cat, let's keep on going. The next one, Caterpillar. Forecast in Caterpillar was a very strong one back at the beginning of November and has been forecasted up ever since then. I can see if I zoom in on this and I look at the right-hand side of the chart, I can see there is bullishness expected in Cat. I can see there's a predicted high, a predicted low. Neural index, predictive differences, bullish, bullish, bullish. I have one momentum indicator saying, hey, don't expect this thing to pop 5%, but still expect some bullishness in this. Let's put on our support and resistance. I don't have any concerns I can tell you initially right now, support and resistance. And there we go. If we back out on the support and resistance, I can see that we've got a very strong support and resistance zone that goes way, way back here. It broke that one. It broke that one. We're probably setting 52-week highs. Let's double check it. Definitely 52-week highs are back here. So we're up at the 52-week high on Caterpillar. We've got good bullish momentum, but we do have a little bit of resistance to be concerned with. So let's go layer on some additional momentum indicators and see if we've got enough momentum to push through this. Let's look. There we go. I'm going to put on RSI, predicted MACD. I am going to put on predicted stochastics and predicted percent R and go check my momentum readings and see if I've got enough bullish momentum to push through that resistance. Yes, 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 yes. All right, so we have enough bullish momentum to break that 52-week high and push through that resistance level. Caterpillar is bullish for me, and we just walked through a subset. We walked through further indicators to understand whether or not that resistance is a concern. Starbucks, the resistance is a concern. I don't have enough momentum even in these momentum indicators. Caterpillar, that resistance is not a concern because I have enough bullish momentum to push past that. So we're consolidated on Starbucks and forecasting bullishness on Caterpillar. Barry, helpful. Yes, no, give me some confirmation. Good. Thank you, Krish. Appreciate that. Comcast, here we go. Got some consolidation. I see resistance on Comcast already pushing down on it. By the way, I use these resistance, support and resistance indicators on every chart. There is that resistance I was talking about. So you can tell after you create a strategy or a technique that you use over and over again, it's very easy to read it. And that resistance is there. Momentum is waning. Comcast doesn't give me a whole lot of enthusiasm. Is there room between yesterday's close and that resistance level? Sure. But every day it's been failing off of that resistance, and I've got more bearish indicators on this. Comcast is certainly channeling and expected to continue channeling. Could it go up a little bit? Yeah, it's got a predicted high in VantagePoint of 44.97. 44.97. That's right at that resistance level. So even VantagePoint's artificial intelligence is saying if you get a new high today, that high is not expected to break through that old resistance level from 4 days ago. I don't know what you need much more to expect that to go sideways. So there is some channeling expected there. All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. See, is seasonal info available in your packages? Can you look at a few days and catch the trend in a few days before the best day? The seasonal information that I just showed you is available if you're a VantagePoint user. Obviously, it's an extra indicator that you can add on if you have some value in seasonality. Remember, I've been utilizing this artificial intelligence technology now for 12 years. So I've got a lot of indicators that I use in different scenarios. I've designed the indicators and know them inside and out. Not everybody uses them. You certainly can. There are people here at VantagePoint that have every indicator in the software because they find the benefit in using those different indicators, but just know everybody is different. I am slap out of time, so I try to keep these to an hour. Hopefully this was helpful for you. I've really enjoyed providing the content to you. I will not be having another live between now and the end of the year. So let me just stop and say happy holidays to everybody that's already celebrated, currently celebrating, and looking to celebrate. Thank you for being here. If you're part of the VantagePoint family, thank you for being part of the VantagePoint family. Always wonderful when I get a chance to meet you, work with you, train you, and provide any information. For now, I am going to head out for the rest of the year. So thank you for your time today, and thank you for letting me give you the view from my vantage point. Happy holidays, everybody.